Okay, so here are the rails, and here is our show.
Completely off. Completely gone today. What in the world? Derailed.
Yay, you're here. Welcome to the CK and GK podcast. Let's get going.
It's Tuesday.
Oh my gosh, that was a high one.
Welcome back to CK and GK. We're the show for adults who need a grown-up.
So today we are thrilled because we have Laura Conley, host of the Yummy Mummy podcast, and she's a certified life coach, weight coach, here helping us with grown-up advice for taking care of yourself so you can love the body that you're in and love your life in general.
Fabulous.
So good.
Yes.
Thank you guys for having me. I'm so excited.
I'm so glad you're here.
So also here is Caitlin, who, if she was a transformer, would be Optimus Fine.
Oh, hey. I need to know this website where you find these pickup lines because I'm all about them. So good.
Oh my gosh. So I just Google funny pickup lines, and then I scroll through all these articles that are like 101 ways to pick up people at the gym or whatever.
Well, that's my flawless apple pie, Jenny.
Cooling on a windowsill.
Yeah, cooling on the windowsill as you do.
Steal it.
Yeah, I forgot about that. There's your Leslie Knope opener for the day. Yeah?
All right.
Okay. Well, let's actually get into this. So as we mentioned, we have Laura Conley of Laura Conley Coaching here with us today. And I have to tell everyone how we actually found Laura. You posted in a Facebook group for podcasters, and the message was the vibes were so good with this message. You were talking about being a weight loss coach for women, who have tried everything. But you mentioned that your primary goal, and this is why I knew I had to send this post to Jenny, but your primary goal is to teach them to freaking love themselves and their lives so that they can be the role model they want to be for their kids, around food, around body image, but just around enjoying life in general. Just the positivity in that, the energy in that was like magnetic for me. I was like, Jenny, I have to get this girl on. We were hooked. And so we're thrilled that you're here. And I'm so ready for these tips for taking care of yourself and living your best life. I can't wait.
Oh, thank you so much. That's so fun to have that reflected back because it is my mission. It's like the weight loss is really just the trick to get these moms in.
Right?
Because so many of us have been conditioned by our culture to want to lose weight. And I think that that's fine. But it's like, come on into the Yummy Mummy. And yeah, you're going to lose weight. But the way you're going to do it is going to be really unfamiliar because what we're doing is we're loving ourselves. And actually, for some of my clients and some of your listeners, probably that sounds cringy.
Yeah.
We're like, oh, I don't even want to love myself. Like, I just want to feel good in my body. Like, oh, like self-love. Like, what even is that? Self-care? What is that? And so actually the weight loss is kind of like a byproduct of us learning to love ourselves. And I always try to encourage people or like sell people on like self-love and self-care because you're with yourself every single day, all day long. Like, think of that like an annoying person from your 5th grade class and like they're always next to you, or like that bully from 9th grade or whatever your memory is, and they're with you all the time and they don't treat you kindly. It's like the worst. And so I think so many of us are our own worst enemies and we are just talking to ourselves. We're berating ourselves. And some of us know that we do it. Some of us are very conscious of us beating us up, and some of us don't know that we do it, but it actually runs in the subconscious. So a clue into, do you beat yourself up? Do you speak to yourself in a way that you would never dream speaking to a best friend? A clue into that is, do you feel like there's like this black cloud hanging over you throughout the day? Like, do you just kind of feel like low level, ugh? And that could be a cue that you aren't speaking lovingly to yourself or kindly to yourself. So anyways, I think self-love is all about the way that we talk to ourselves first and foremost, because you can take all the bubble baths, you can get all the massages, you can do all the things. But if you're beating the crap out of yourself inside your mind, it's fake. It's not real. It's a Band-Aid. It's not going to actually create what you're wanting to create with that bubble bath. It has to start inside your brain first in order to translate into your body in the way that you feel and in the way that you actually treat yourself.
We've done an episode on self-care, and we did it around like a New Year's resolution sort of theme, right? It was like self-care can be a resolution or whatever if you want, but like self-care, the best kind is a habit, right? It's like the reason it's self-care is because you do it all the time. It's not just like taking a bubble bath once. It's those people who take one every night who are like, I need my bath, or like I'm a walker. So I'm like, I need my walk in the morning. I have to have that. Otherwise I don't feel like myself. Right. So this is such an interesting way to look at that, because the way that you speak to yourself is habitual, right? It is so ingrained in yourself. You've been talking to yourself like that probably for as long as you can remember, right? So that it's really interesting take on that. And I'm very, very much about this. Yes.
You mentioned the kids, right? Like we want to pass down a legacy to our kiddos that we're really proud of around body image and food. The way that we talk to our kids becomes their inner voices. I think that's the quote, right? But what I think it's a step farther. I think the way that we talk to ourselves is actually what becomes their inner voices, because they pick up on all the subtleties. Like they pick up on the way that we look at ourselves in the mirror. They pick up on what we're doing at the dinner table. They pick up on like, are we going to the gym for the second time in the day? This was my old life when I was in my yo-yo dieting days. I would like do 2-a-days all the time. They notice, like, are we changing our outfit 17 times? So they pick up on our inner voice, even if we don't say it out loud. And so that's another like kind of carrot. Like if you can't do the self-love, self-care thing for yourself, do it for your kids, and it'll eventually be for you too, for sure. So I'm like, use your kid. Like some people are like, you can't do it for other people. You have to do it for you. And I'm like, I don't care who you do it for, as long as you're as long as you're doing it. And you don't have to do it like whatever. There's all the freedom and all the choice here. But I do think my kids are so motivating for me, right? Like I think we talk about a lot. Like I want to be a good role model. I want to be a good person. And so I think that can be motivating. Like our children are going to inherit our inner voices. Like they pick up on those small subtleties. Like they know what our relationship with ourselves is.
Oh, totally. And I've had that conversation too with my husband. Like if you hear me saying something bad about myself, where I'm like, oh, I'm such an idiot. Like you're supposed to correct me. Like, no, don't talk about yourself. Don't talk about yourself like that. Right. Like we've had that conversation, because I don't want my child saying those things about himself when he gets older. Right. Like I don't want that for him. So interesting.
Yeah. I think that's like such a cool legacy to leave behind, like permission to give to our kids. Like you're allowed to love yourself. Like you're allowed to love yourself unconditionally. Like we're not taught that. At least I wasn't taught that growing up, that I was like allowed to love myself. It's like, to your point too, Caitlin, like we make mistakes and we're like, oh, I'm such an idiot. Like what's wrong with me? And what a cool opportunity to like change that talk track and then give that to our kids, because I didn't read
Self-Compassion until I was in my 30s, and I feel like I should have read it at 13.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I wonder if it's like we're supposed to be humble, but like humble and self-deprecating and self-loathing are not the same things, right? Like it is possible to be humble but still love yourself.
Yeah. Not mutually exclusive. Like, and I think our culture, I blame everything on our culture, but I think our culture like teaches us that like being humble means like, you know, beating yourself up inside your and your mind. And it's brave to love yourself unconditionally. It's like a bold act, because for some of us, it might not feel safe.
That's a really interesting point.
Like, think about it. Like, have you ever complimented someone and they don't accept the compliment, or they deflect? They're like this just happened to me the other day. Someone was like, oh, your butt looks so good. And I was like, oh, it's just these jeans. And then I was like, no, it's not these jeans. It's my butt.
Or what's the first thing that you
Right?
do? Like, you're like, no one's going to know I got this dress for $13 at Target. And then the first thing that someone's, oh, I love your dress. And you're like, it was $13 at Target. Like, it's you don't
Right.
accept the compliment. You have to have a caveat that goes with it. Right? Like,
Yes.
oh, it's so frustrating. So
I read Year of Yes by Shonda Rhimes, who is the creator of Grey's Anatomy and what's the other one? Bridgerton. Yes, all of those. And there's a whole chapter about just she went through this phase of accepting compliments. And she just said, thank you. And not, oh, it was only $13 or, oh, it's just these jeans or, oh, well, I just got my hair done. It was just like, oh, thank you.
I imagine the look on people's faces. They were probably like,
Yeah.
you're welcome.
You're welcome. I think that's great though, because it gives that person then potentially permission to do the same.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm hearing so far that a couple of these tips are work on your inner monologue for sure of how you speak to yourself. And if you can't find the motivation within, use any sort of external motivator, kids or whatever, to help guide you down this path of taking care of yourself.
Yeah. And it's like, how do you actually do that? I want to give your audience like really tangible tips because it sounds a little nebulous. It's like, oh, that sounds great in theory. So next time you make a mistake, quote unquote, or maybe you do make a mistake, like maybe you do yell at your kid, right? Like I'm actively working on not yelling at my kids.
I think Johnny and I are working on that too.
Yeah, I think we're all probably working on it, right? It's a lifelong practice.
Exactly.
So next time, maybe you're not a yeller, maybe you are, but anytime you make a mistake, right, that maybe goes against your values. So this is me. I'll give you a real-time example. Like I yell at my daughter and then, the guilt just floods into my body because I'm thinking the thoughts like, what's wrong with you? You told yourself you weren't going to do this. You weren't going to screw her up. Like, get it together, Laura. Like you told your coach you weren't going to do this, right? And so that's the inner monologue. It's like, whoa, 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 whoa. And it's like what I would encourage you guys, the listeners, to say instead is like, now, key, don't beat yourself up when you notice you're beating yourself up. Just be like, good job, you caught it. So in that moment, I would be like, oh, Laura, you're feeling so guilty. Yes, you did yell at Luna when you didn't want to yell at Luna. And that's okay. We're learning. The goal here is just to get 1% better and to love yourself right now so that you can actually make a real repair with her. So that's the difference is like, going from what's wrong with you, you idiot, like get it together to like, ooh, that was tough. Like that isn't in alignment with who we want to be. And it's okay because you're a human who's learning. I'm willing to love you, Laura, in this moment. Like, and that's unconditional love. And that is what I want to pass down to my kids. Like the ability to love myself even when I'm not being myself, capital like S, self. So that's like a tangible way to do it is like love yourself in the mistake and give yourself permission to love yourself in the mistake because a lot of us don't believe we deserve the love from ourselves.
I am a feelings about feelings person so many times. And I'll say, okay, why are you upset about this? Or why are you feeling guilty? And so now I have feelings about my feelings. I'm like, Jen, there's too many layers here.
Right.
Yes. Yes. I'm supposed to feel this. This is a normal, natural part of being a human. It's okay that I feel this. Like we're taught we're supposed to be happy 100% of the time or 80% of the time. It's like, no, life is 50-50. It's supposed to, I mean, I don't really know if it's 50-50, but
some days it feels worse than that. Some days it feels better.
Yeah.
It's a hodgepodge.
And it's a great guiding principle because when you do feel guilty or when you do feel disappointed or fill in the blank, uncomfortable, unintentional, whatever emotion, it's like, oh, I'm supposed to feel like this. Oh, yes. And I mean, to loop it into like some of the work that I do, a lot of us think like to your point, like, oh, I'm not supposed to feel guilty. Like, oh, got to get rid of this guilt. And so what do? We turn to scrolling on the phone. We turn to the kids' goldfish or the ice cream, or we turn to the wine, fill in the blank, because we don't want to feel the feelings because we're taught we're not supposed to have these feelings. They're wrong. They're bad. So let's soothe with food. Let's make them go away with alcohol or scrolling or Netflix or fill in the blank. And those things aren't inherently bad or wrong.
But only when they're used for self-medication are they, right? Like having those things in your life is not a problem. It's using them to avoid feelings.
To avoid or escape.
Yeah, exactly.
I agree with you 100%, Jen. And also for the audience member, I think it's helpful to like, you get to decide.
Right.
If like, for example, my husband, like he eats emotionally sometimes, but it's like not that big of a problem for him because it's like once in a blue moon. And he doesn't have like, it's not too much of a net negative. For him, it's kind of a net neutral. Okay. He has a stressful day. He eats a half a bag of potato chips once every 3 months. He wakes up the next morning. He feels amazing. Yeah. If I do that, I wake up and I have a sugar or a chip hangover or an ice cream hangover
swollen.
From it.
Really swollen.
Yes.
Like just and all this salt.
Yeah.
I'm so puffy.
I would eat the half bag of chips and say one of two things. Either I hate myself because I ate all these chips, or I guess the whole week's out the window because I already ate half a bag of chips. Might as well have the cheesecake.
Third option of like, look at me, I only ate half the bag. I have another half to go. That's where because I was like, oh, she's going to say, I'm so proud of myself. I only ate half of it, not the whole thing. I really wanted the whole thing.
Oh, that's amazing. That is like,
that's positive self-talk.
That's what you can, yeah, exactly. That's self-love right there. You're a pro. So it's not loving when it's used for, and this is just my belief system, when like food is used for what it's not for. Right. And I believe that it's for fuel most of the time. Like, yes, there's times for like, obviously eat a freaking cupcake on your birthday or whatever. But it's, yeah.
I get that. Okay. So I also, when you were speaking to yourself, that like take a breath, whoa moment, it felt a little bit like you were talking to your daughter, like to a child, right? Like it's how how you would speak to a little one who just made a mistake, right? It's so gentle. It was such a gentle, like, whoa, take a breath.
Yeah.
You need to be more gentle with yourself. So if you're struggling with that mindset of with how to talk to yourself, I mean, I guess you would imagine you're talking to your tiny self, right?
Yeah.
Like how should 3-year-old Caitlin be hearing that line, right?
Yeah. Yeah, like if you want to change behavior, there's so much science and like data on this. Like if you want to change behavior, whether it's your behavior or your 3-year-old's behavior, the most effective way to do it is to come at it from love and compassion. We think that if we just beat ourselves up hard enough that we're going to change. If we just punish the crap out of ourselves, we're going to change. But we all have enough data and proof that like that doesn't work, especially like my clients. Like they have tried to beat themselves up into oblivion. They've tried to punish themselves into a certain gene size. It doesn't work, at least permanently. So it is, to your point, like if my 4-year-old hits my 6-year-old, I first have to take a deep breath. And then when they're a little bit calmer, when I'm being the parent I want to be, it's exactly to your point. You go over, Phoenix, like, whoa, I noticed that you got super frustrated because Luna took your toy. I get it. I'd be frustrated too. Like, what can we do next time you're frustrated instead of hit her? Because hitting isn't okay. Right. Being frustrated is okay. And it's the same thing with me talking to me, right? Like, I probably got frustrated at Luna. That's probably why I yelled at her. I probably got really irritated or annoyed or whatever. It's okay to be annoyed. It's not okay to yell.
Right. Yeah, I get that completely. I think that makes a lot of sense. Also, your children's names are Luna and Phoenix. I'm obsessed.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so far I've heard like change the way that you speak to yourself, make it habitual, be gentle with yourself, talk to yourself the way that you would young version of yourself, allow yourself to feel those feelings that you may have been told are not okay. What else can you tell us about how this self-care and I don't know.
So how do you feel a feeling? So again, to give them like this tactical in like day in the life, like how do I actually apply this? Like we talked about how to examine your thoughts and maybe if you're beating yourself up, how to change that talk track. But how do you feel a feeling? Like, and maybe, I mean, I think now we're doing such a better job of that. But I wasn't taught, even though I did have a mom who was pretty good and like totally emotionally intelligent. But the point is, if you're noticing that you're really angry or you're really irritated or you're feeling really guilty, what I teach my clients is the now feeling work. So now is an acronym. N stands for name it. Okay. And there's some parenting books that are out there that say like name it to tame it. Mm-hmm. And I swear to God, the N of the NOW half the time is all I have to do. If I just name it, it sort of starts to disintegrate. So N and now is, oh, wow, I'm feeling really guilty. The O is okay it. It is okay that I'm feeling guilty. This is a normal part of being a human. And then the W is witness it or watch it. Oh my God, it's like it's in my chest. It's like you might want to close your eyes for 10 seconds here. And then I always ask either or. Is it hard? Is it soft? Is it fast? Is it slow? Because every feeling is just a vibration in our body. That's the way that I define feelings or emotion. It's just a vibration in your body. And actually knowing that makes these kind of negative, in quotes, emotions not so scary. It's literally just a vibration in your body. That's all it is. And if that's true, then we can witness it. Okay, it feels like it's black. And it feel like, so if you can witness it and see where it is in your body, I know that sounds a little weird, but when you do that, it loosens the grip. So it's like we are taught to move away from negative emotions. And it's like, how can you actually move towards? How can you invite them in?
And feel it.
Yes.
Notice it. And then move forward.
Yes, exactly. So now, name it, okay it, and witness it. And with the understanding that, yes, most likely if you do this now feeling work, the feelings are going to loosen their grip and you're going to be able to move forward. But I want to encourage you to just to do the work without the tight grip of, if I do this, then it's going to go away. Like, what if it was just always allowed to be there? Like, what if it was like a party that you were having and happiness was allowed to be there and guilt was allowed to be there? It's kind of like the movie Inside Out. Like, all the characters are allowed to be there. Disappointment's allowed. Elation is allowed. Bliss is allowed. Devastation is allowed. They're all allowed in. Like, come down and come sit right next to me. Here's a cocktail. Here's whatever. Like, I find I get so much relief when I release the resistance to. The resistance to the uncomfortable emotions is what is so painful. The emotions themselves, when we're like, no, I'm allowed to feel this, I'm supposed to feel this, it's not that bad. Like I had a really traumatic event, and I could share details, but I know you have like little ears. But I had an event with a pregnancy, and when I let go of the resistance, it was a sacred feeling. It was a feeling of bliss. I had a lot of disappointment around this pregnancy, a lot of like feelings of pain, and shame actually. And when I released the resistance, it was like pure connection and bliss and almost a feeling of like sacred, like holy feeling, because it was like me connecting with myself and like taking care of myself. So that's another little carrot. It's like sometimes when you feel the feelings without and you let go of the resistance because you're not thinking I shouldn't feel this or I'm bad for feeling these, it's not even that bad. They're not even that bad. So that's another carrot.
I love that. First of all, I'm sorry to hear about any sort of pregnancy. Is hard for a lot of people, and Jenny and I have both we understand that feeling, and it hasn't been easy for a lot of people. So I'm sorry to hear that, but I also I love the whole leaning into it thing. I'm kind of equating it. I mean, you are located in Colorado. You are familiar with driving in snow. I grew up there. I learned to drive there. And I remember one time coming back from a concert in Boulder and driving on the hill, and you have to parallel park everywhere on the hill. And there was ice all over the place. It was a super bad snowy night, ice everywhere. And my husband, who born and raised here in Texas, has very little experience driving in snow, watched as I leaned into the scary, right? Like, what do you do when there's like ice on the ground? You drive into the skid, because it's how you regain control of everything. And it doesn't feel natural at all to do that unless you've practiced it, right? So when you lean into the feeling, it's not going to feel natural at all the first few times. And then once you practice that, you'll know exactly what to do, and you'll be able to let go and regain control of it. And I used to just be terrified of skidding, right? And it's still scary, but but knowing what to do and having it be automatic is really important. And so I'm just thinking about how I can apply that same automaticity to this now piece that you're telling me to do, where I explore and lean into that. I think it would really help me regain control of everything else that feels out of control in that moment, right?
Oh, that analogy.
Isn't it good? Way to go,
That
Caitlin.
is such a good analogy.
You know what else I do? And I like, this is why I also like this now thing, is I will ask someone else if it's okay that I feel this way. Have you ever done that? Where I'm like, am I wrong for being upset that whatever the thing is? And I shouldn't be asking that question, right? Like, I would tell someone else, right? I would tell all of you, like, this is your feeling is your feeling is your feeling. You're entitled to your feelings, and no one should be telling you how you feel and how you don't. And yet when it's myself, I will say, Jen, am I wrong for being upset about this? Like, please tell me if I'm being rational, or I'll do the same thing to my husband. Like, you know, why did I get upset about this? I feel like there's a reason, or, you know what I mean? And instead of just being okay with the fact that a feeling is not necessarily a decision. It's just how you feel, right? So
right.
It's not
how
like buying
you
a
act
car.
is totally different.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, so I love that.
That's so good.
I love that. I'm gonna lead into that. I'm like over here furiously trying to mute myself as I'm typing, taking notes on things. I love it.
I think that's so smart, because what I find, this has been my work lately, is I'll have a feeling and I'll be like, well, that's irrational. To your point, that's irrational. And it might actually be irrational, but so what? The feeling is still there. Right. And so by me saying it's irrational, that doesn't do anything. That doesn't help me or anyone around me. So it's like, to your point, once the feeling is in your body, it's there. And you trying to like logic your way out of it is most likely not going to work. It wants to be acknowledged. It just wants to be like seen. Right. And sometimes I also like to take it a step further and be like, what do you have to teach me? Like guilt or anxiety? Like, what message do you have for me? I need to figure out an acronym for that. But usually if you ask your feeling, like, this is getting woo a little bit, but who cares? I think you guys don't care about a little. It's like tiny bit of woo.
I have done like deep parts work where it's like, okay, imagine that part of yourself. What does she look like? What does she need? Like, you are preaching to the choir here.
Okay, I figured. But it's like, ooh, guilt. Like, what do you have? What do you have to teach me? Or disappointment? Like, do you have a message for me? You know, and oftentimes it'll be this like really intuitive hit that you wouldn't have gotten otherwise. So I think that's another fun way to play with your feelings, and it makes your feelings a little bit more approachable too. It's like, oh, maybe there's a message here. So yeah, the only thing I'll say about guilt though, that I've been having a lot of fun with, I don't know if fun is the right word, but asking myself, because I think guilt is a really common emotion for moms, like across the board, women across the board. Like, it is, oh my God. And I love to ask, like, is this my guilt, or is this culture's guilt that culture or my conditioning or other people's thoughts have put on me? Like, is this true guilt? And true guilt, I actually like true guilt, because true guilt, for me, it points me back to my values. Like, oh, I feel guilty after I yell at my daughter. That is true guilt, because that's not how I want to show up. That is not in alignment with my value system. But if I feel guilty for like an act of self-care, like going for a workout, because to your point about walking, oh, that's totally me. Like, I have to move my body. I have to get some sunshine, or I'm like not that nice. So yeah, it's like, if I feel guilty, like tomorrow, I'm probably going to go for a walk. On the way out the door, leaving my kids and my husband, I might feel a twinge of guilt. And I like to give that back to culture and be like, ooh, that's not for me. That's not mine. That's what culture tells me I'm supposed to be with my kids 24/7, or some BS, you know, limiting belief or whatever. So I think that's, I don't know, it's a random thing that I like to share about feelings, because I think that is rooted in self-care, giving that back to, I don't know, whoever, whatever, the culture, the conditioning, the socialization that we get. That's not mine. And it still might be in your body. Oh, that's not mine. Let me take it and give it back. and it's a practice for sure. Because if you have a lot of guilt from other, like if you have tendency to people please, like this will be a practice, and that's okay.
I'm pointing at myself really like I'm just thinking, I'm like,
Oh, it's so normal though. Again, not your fault.
I know. I have oldest daughter syndrome, and it's deep and it's real. And my parents are wonderful parents who really did like say things like, it's okay to be mad, but like, don't talk to me like that. Yeah. You know what I mean? There were things like that happened at our house, but that doesn't take, it's still deeply ingrained. Like, I'm fanning myself. Oh. Jenny knows I do that when I start to like get hot and like things feel real. And I'm like, okay, all right, I'm having a moment. Yeah. Excuse me. Let me readjust my seating here because I'm getting hot and sweaty. Okay. All right. I feel like that was really, if it wasn't a little therapy session, I don't know what is, right? Like that felt good. I don't know. Is there any other like quick, like tangible thing that you would say that we haven't touched on? Because I feel like there's been so much good stuff here.
Oh God.
Not to put you on the spot. If you don't have one, we'll just cut it.
I mean, I could talk forever about this, but I think it actually ties into the guilt. It's like, what is just one thing you just really want to do? Like, is it girls' night once a week? Is it a massage? Is it a daily walk? Like, what is this one thing that you really want to do, but your lower brain is telling you can't for some reason? Is that reason true? Is that legit? Like, because my brain will be like, oh, no, you can't do that because Brian, like my husband will get mad at me because I want to go to girls' night. And it's like, no, he won't. Really? Like, really? Like, I'm pretty sure he's going to be like, cool, go. Right? So, like, notice what is one thing that deep down, like you ask yourself, your intuition, your body, whatever, someone on your board of directors inside you will tell you, I don't know if it's your gut, your intuition, your body, whatever, will tell you, we really need this. We really need more friend connection. We really need more sunshine. We really need more massages. Whatever the thing is, we really need a workout, whatever the thing is, and then be willing to go get it for yourself and to be relentless in that, because I think that's what stops us from like true self-care is like this limiting belief again that we don't deserve it or that we have to earn it or whatever it is. So and again, it's a practice. Like, it's not going to be comfortable to take care of yourself. Like, it's probably going to be really uncomfortable at first, but then to your point, like, you'll start to build that muscle and you'll start to practice and it'll be easier. And then everyone in your life will benefit. That's another carrot. Like, you guys have heard the phrase, it's like a happy wife equals a happy life, but it's like, it's kind of true. Like, you set the tone in your house. You're the thermostat. So like, can you imagine if you had a thermostat that was like 95 because she was so like fed up or whatever? It's like, I think that this, again, if you have to do it for your kids, do it for your kids. Like, I know for myself, like, I am not a good mom if I haven't taken care of myself. Like, I am not. It is not fun. And if I have taken care of myself, I have all the energy to give. It's like even fun to watch me be a mom or be a wife or be involved in my life when my cup is filled up. But remember, you have to fill that cup up with things that are true pleasures that give you a net positive, like a walk. What are those things for you? They're individual for everyone. So maybe just make a list of 5 things that fill your pleasure cup up. Because if you don't fill your pleasure cup up with things that are true pleasures, you will find false pleasures because you have a lower brain that seeks dopamine. You are a dopamine seeking human. Whether you like it or not, your brain is going to find that dopamine hit. I want you to have dopamine hits that serve you, that don't leave you with more to clean up the next morning. So like, everyone's different in terms of what their self-care looks like, but I would encourage you to go get it for you and for the people in your life. It's the best gift you can give them.
I love the idea of listing, of coming up with these 5 things.
5 things. What would your guys' be?
That's it. Is I'm thinking about them, but I'm also thinking about like having this conversation with my 12-year-old daughter. Like, what are your 5 things that you want to do?
Yes, that is giving me the chills.
Yeah, asking her that question.
So we're going to take a break, and during that time, we're going to write our 5 things. And I am not even going to be able to come up with 5 in the break, so it might be week-long homework.
Love it.
All right, y'all. Welcome back. We're still here.
Yep.
And
Laura's still here.
Laura's still here. We have to talk about what we're obsessed with.
Yep.
And mine comes to me courtesy of Molly McAwesome on Instagram. And you know, I've talked about Molly before. She's our favorite theme park influencer.
I'm sorry.
And
I'm not remembering.
But here's the deal. She walks around Disney or Universal or wherever she's going, and she eats all day long, and her makeup looks flawless. And I'm like,
which means
how
she's like
are
out
you
in the
hanging
sun.
out?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
How are you doing this?
It's humid. It's hot. It's gross. You're eating ice cream. Like, why do you look so great? So I'm wearing her mascara now. It's Essence Bye Bye Panda Eyes. I'm not kidding you. I got it at Target for like $7. I love it.
Oh my God. That's so good. I can't top that.
Bye Bye Panda Eyes. I can't.
Bye Bye Panda Eyes. And you know, I have done the Lash Princess.
Yeah, I have too.
I've also done like the Grown Up Girl mascara that you buy at the store that has the name of a color and a planet in its name. And this $7 Bye Bye Panda Eyes, it's my new obsession. I love it.
Okay.
Yes. Do you know the trick for mascara? This is so gross. You're going to hate it.
Okay. Yeah,
you
I
have
want
to
hear
warm
it
it up
Tell
before you
us.
put it on.
Yeah, I put it in my cleavage. Sorry.
Yes, that's what you're supposed to do. You like either tuck it in or you put it like under your arm while you do the rest of your face.
Yeah,
and
you
then
warm
you
it
put
up.
it on when it's
No.
warm.
Yep.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yes.
Fun fact.
That's
It
so
goes
fun.
on better. Smoother. So mine, my ADHD is deep and real, y'all. And I like since leaving the classroom, I really struggle with like, when do I do the tasks? Like, when do I get something done? Right? Like, I know I have the task list. I have the Pomodoro timer over here, but nothing's happening. Like, I'm working all day and nothing's getting done. So I bit the bullet and I subscribed to Motion, 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 as in like my body is in motion. Okay. And it uses AI to schedule tasks for you. So here's what I mean. I have my task list. I type it into Motion and it finds times within my like meeting schedule and stuff during the day when I say like I will work on items from this time to this time. It will put those things on my calendar for me so that I know that during this time of the day I am supposed to be working on content for this company or this particular item or whatever it is. And it is helping me so much. Like this is like, so you actually crossed things off your task list. Like things are done.
You're like, yeah, my robot assistant helped me. Now, Caitlin, tell me, like, when you use this Motion, are you saying please and thank you?
I don't have to because the only thing I'm doing is typing in the task that I have to complete. And then it automatically does it. Now, I know you have a thing with the robots and I have to say thank you. So I'll make sure that from here on out, I say thank you to the robots every time I've
been using ChatGPT for some stuff at work. And I've been like, do you have time for one more question? Yes. And it comes back like, yes, I'm here to help you. I'm like, thank you so much for giving me all this time and effort. But I'm telling you, Laura, here's the thing. Okay, it might sound crazy, but when these robots take over the planet, they are going to remember that I was nice to them.
She says this every time we talk about AI anything. Like it's always about the robot uprising.
And they're going to go around and be like, I'm going to eat your soul. I'm going to eat yours. Thanks for being nice to us. I'm going to eat you. I'm going to eat you.
Oh, I'm definitely going down.
Good game.
It's not too late for you to say thank you, Alexa. Siri, you're being
I need to
kind.
apologize to Siri. Because I haven't been yelling at my kids. I've been doing really good, but instead I just been taking it out on Siri and Alexa.
You just call her up and say, hey, I'm really sorry I've been mean.
Listen, if Alexa would just set the timer when I tell her to, I wouldn't have to yell at her in the first place. So she listens to everything else, but she's not listening to that. So sometimes you got to get a little sassy with those things. But anyway, yes, I will say thank you. Laura, do you have any obsessions that you
Okay, have you guys ever read Kristen Hanna? Like, she wrote The Nightingale. It was kind of like a big hit a couple years ago.
Oh, that's on my want to read list on Goodreads, and I haven't gotten to it yet.
So she just came out with another book called The Women. I mean, it might be my favorite book ever. And I just like devoured it. It was like, do you ever have that experience where you're like, you're on the last couple pages and you're like mourning the loss
I don't
of
want
the
this
book
book to be over, but also I'm finishing it.
Yes.
So is it like
like I have a hole in my soul.
like
now that
fiction?
the book,
what genre are we talking here?
it's actually historical fiction, which
I love.
is like okay. I would think I would hate it. Like, but you get a dopamine hit because you feel like you're learning something while you're like being entertained. So she does such a good job of not making it history-ish. Like I don't know. Like it when I say historical fiction, it sounds so like
existing in the background. Right.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, I mean, I would highly recommend that book. I had the best spring break because of that
awesome.
book.
I love it.
I just
love
wrote it down. Read. If you heard all the banging in the background, it was just me writing things. Sorry.
If you listened last week, you heard that my obsession was a book. And if you don't know, go back and listen to last week's episode and you can hear all about the book I'm reading.
So good. Yeah, you will love the book. And I mean, I feel like it ties into the theme. It's very self-care.
I like that.
To read a book with the window open,
right?
Of course.
Get the breeze, the whole thing.
Yeah.
Totally.
Maybe not this season because of the pollen, but
maybe not in Austin.
Right. Some of us are having allergies. But when I have allergies, I get to have my favorite allergy medicine, which we all know is hot Cheetos.
So good.
It just clears you right out, guys.
Yup.
Do you remember?
Opens up my sinuses, and I try and like swallow them as close to whole as possible, so they like scratch my throat on the way down.
Snake, like unhinge your jaw. What are you doing?
Okay. So like food is fuel and allergy medicine.
Right. This is so random that I remember this, but I know Jenny is a big fan of The Nanny, so she might. Okay, there was a scene where Fran's mom was like, "Oh, my medicine, I need my medicine." And the first thing she did was open the fridge and go to the Hershey syrup and pour it in a big old spoon. And giant, like, not glass-sized spoonful of Hershey syrup. It was so funny. And every time I hear you talk about medicine like that, I always go to that line in my head. Anyway, gem of the week. Tell me what's going on.
Okay, so mine is gem of a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
But it's fine.
Fair. That's fine.
It was Easter, and Abigail said that she wanted to have a scavenger egg hunt where each egg has a clue to the next one. Okay. Well, Kit cannot read. He is 5. So I couldn't really do that for him. So what I did was hide a bunch of eggs with either an A or a K on them. Mm-hmm. And so if he saw a K, he knew it was his egg, and it would just have candy inside. If it was Abby's egg, it would have a clue.
Okay.
And I was very proud of myself because I wrote all Taylor Swift themes clues about where the next egg would be.
Wow, that's impressive.
Oh my God.
So like one of the clues was, "I just want to stay." And if you are a Swiftie, you know the next line is, "in that lavender haze."
Uh-huh.
And so the egg was hidden in the lavender plant.
Oh, cute.
Whoa.
That's so smart.
I could build a castle out of all of these they've thrown at me. It's bricks. So we had a pile of bricks in the backyard. She had to go find the egg in the bricks. I was very proud of myself.
That's amazing. Well done.
It was super fun.
Yeah. I found some other Pinterest mom who made a scavenger hunt, and I printed it and cut it out and taped it on the various places where she told me to in my house, and then I only had eggs in certain spots, and I didn't have to go looking for them everywhere else and find old candy later.
We are still finding eggs.
See, that's the problem.
Not Taylor Swift eggs, just
no
K eggs. Because I did not have a list. But I'm telling you, like, if I was gonna make a list of the 5 things self-care, like one of them might be like a creative project like that.
You love those.
Yeah,
I do. Or like a theme, some sort of theme.
I love a good theme project.
Yeah, you get into that.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so passing the baton.
Okay, well, here's mine, and this is just me being either not paying attention to my child as he talks, or I don't know what I was doing, or mishearing. Here's what happened. So Sam, my son, says, "It must be weird having a tail," which is already weird enough, right? That he just said that. And I completely misheard him.
Or like as a animal?
I think he was me.
Because it is weird if a human has a tail.
Right. But I think he was meaning like, what if like he woke up in another body and this body had a tail? Like, I think he was talking about as like a dinosaur or something. I don't know.
Okay.
It's still weird, but whatever.
Sure.
He's right. It would be weird having a tail. And I didn't hear him, and I said, yeah, it is weird having a kid sometimes. Oh, it gets so much better. And then he goes, yeah, like you'd have this thing sticking out of your butt. And I was like, wait,
what?
You think that kids just stick out of your butt? I'm sorry, what? And he just looks at me like silent.
Like, no, Mom.
Like the ellipses, I can see them in his head. Like, what? And I just kind of look back at him, and then he goes, tail. It must be weird having a tail. And I was like, wait, okay, you just said it must be weird having a tail? And he goes, yep, that's what I said. I'm like telling my kid, it's weird having a kid. You think they come out, but like I just have a whole place that I did not need to be taking it. And here he is talking about like, what if he had a dinosaur tail? And I was like cackling about this for a while because like, what did I do? Like, I just completely mom failed.
It is
on
weird
this one.
You around.
But
Tail is weirder. Tail is weirder.
Tail is way weirder.
Laura, thank you so much for being on the show. What do we need to know about your Yummy Mummy program?
Okay, well, number one, if you're a podcast listener, which apparently you are, you should go listen to the Yummy Mummy podcast. You can find it wherever podcasts are. It's just called the Yummy Mummy Podcast with Laura Conley, and my name is LauraConley. You can also check out lauraconley.com. Over there, you will see everything you need to know about the Yummy Mummy. I run group programs. It's called the Yummy Mummy Experience, and we learn to lose weight from the last time and become free from food forever, all from a place of love, and also that we can pass down what we want to pass down to our kiddos. So we do that through hunger hormone balance, mindset, emotion work, accountability, and what I call becoming your own bestie, which is really self-care and self-love, and that's all that is. So you can check that out at lauraconley.com. And if you're Instagram people, that's kind of where I hang out in terms of social media, and my handle is Laura Conley Coaching. These lovely women are going to put a link for you guys, so you guys have a little gift in there. If you are interested in losing weight, I offer the perfect weight loss plan. It's kind of like a little ebook, so you guys will get that for free. Usually it's $37.
Oh, thanks.
And
that's amazing.
Yeah. And I just want to say, like, you don't have to want to lose weight, but also you're allowed to want to lose weight if that's what you want. It's all about choice. And I felt so much shame for so long for wanting to lose excess weight. I thought that meant that I didn't love myself. And in fact, I put that weight on by eating things when I was choosing to ignore myself and not love myself. So it was like this really interesting thing. And when I finally gave myself permission, I went on this journey that really was rooted in self-love. So I feel like, want what you want.
Right.
And you don't have to tell anybody. Like, you don't have to want to lose weight, but if you do, like, you're allowed to. There's a lot of voices out there that say, just love and accept yourself where you are. And I'm like, yeah, I'm all for that. And you wanting to lose weight doesn't mean you don't love yourself and you don't accept yourself. It actually could mean that you do, and you're listening to a deep desire inside of you that will give you so much. So that's kind of the spiel.
I like it. It feels like
all right, so
a
when
true
you are about to
investment
talk to yourself,
self and self-happiness.
Yes,
so
I agree.
Yeah.
So when you're about to talk to yourself and you're reaching for words, be kind and gentle and make good choices.
Sorry.
Yeah.
It looks like you
just try it.
As you do that, like, you just look like you were also reaching for some words. So that's why I started cackling at you. Anyway, and check out the Yummy Mummy podcast. We will have all the links to all the things. And Laura, thank you so much for joining us today. This was really fun. We appreciate it.
Oh, thank you so much. So fun. I could talk to you guys forever.
Awesome.
Come back
Maybe
anytime.
We'd
love
it.
it.
5 things.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey friends, thanks for listening to the CK and GK podcast. Find us at CK and GK Podcast on Instagram and Twitter, and rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Good Pods, or anywhere else that you pod. See you next time.